Hey guys, welcome back. It's the Bougie Black Hippie. I did an introduction video last week and talked about why I started my channel and my journey to 199. So if you have not watched that, make sure you go back and check it out. I'm going to try to make all of my videos 7 minutes or less. I respect and value your time. So I just want to go ahead and jump right in today. I want to talk about some things that I accepted as true throughout my entire life, and how those beliefs catapulted my weight to 319 pounds. So I was always a very big kid. At 10 years old, I started wearing bras. The summer of 5th grade, I got my period. I was 10 years old, guys. It was terrifying, but it catapulted into all kinds of other issues, with me being diagnosed with PCOS and having to take birth control to try and regulate my cycle. PCOS also caused me to have like all of these unsightly areas of hair growth. PCOS also made it more difficult for me to lose weight. I was always teased as a kid for being bigger. I remember in the 5th grade, there was this one boy who would always call me booty on the back, which was, again, scarring to a 10-year-old, but something that now I can, I've obviously released and gotten over. The weight gain and the PCOS and the irregular cycles caused me to also develop some self-esteem issues, which I dealt with for a really long time. One in 7th grade, I remember my mom, we were going to take some family pictures. My mom took me to the mall. We went to Learners and I got these two really cute dresses. They were blue. I got a blue one and I got a red one. And I remember that they were a size 14. I love those dresses. I wore them all the time because I felt so beautiful and so confident in them. And honestly, until I went to college, that's probably the last time I remember in my teenage years actually being confident. So I went through all of my teenage years being unconfident in my body, unconfident with how I looked, and I carried myself that way also. I was very shy and reserved. I didn't want to be seen, so I made sure to not make too much noise, so that people would not notice me. I would kind of just blend in with anyone else who was around. There's a history of blood pressure and diabetes in my family. A lot of us are overweight, and it was just something, again, that we accepted as normal. I accepted that I would be big because everybody in my family was big, that I would probably be diabetic, or have high blood pressure, or just always have weight issues, because again, that was acceptable and normal in my family. Those are my family dynamics, so I accepted that to be true. And I started to develop depression due to my weight, and I would use food to feed that addiction, to feed that depression, to feed those cravings and those desires, because I didn't know that what I needed. I thought that it was food. So I was working at Publix as a teenager. I also worked at Burger King and Wendy's and a couple other fast food places. So getting food was easy. And when I was eating, I felt good. At one time, I never drank water, always a Sprite. Water was non-existent in my diet. So I developed this addictive personality. My father is an addict, so I always say that I got it honest that me having an addictive personality was going to happen. My thing was not drugs, it was not alcohol, my vice was food. So I started using food as a coping mechanism, and I developed a food addiction, and I would binge eat constantly. There were times when I would go get food from 2 to 3 different fast food places for lunch. I would essentially create my own buffet from the different fast food restaurants that I would go to, and then I would go home and still eat dinner, or have another meal, or cook for my partner, myself and my partner. So I was rapidly gaining weight and rapidly increasing my blood pressure, pretty much going down a path of no return. So at one point, I got to a place where I could no longer even tie my own shoe. I had to ask my partner to tie my shoe, And I had to ask for seatbelt extenders when I was getting on airplanes. I love to travel, so the first time I had to do that was very embarrassing. And I think at one point, actually, I was given a seatbelt extender. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna just keep it and I'm gonna bring it with me every time I travel so I don't have to be embarrassed and ask the flight attendant for a seatbelt extender anymore. So that was my answer to needing a seatbelt extender and dealing with that embarrassment as opposed to taking control of my life. But my addiction to food was really limiting my ability to live. But again, I thought that was normal. I thought it was normal to be big. I thought it was normal to eat what I wanted. I thought it was normal to be predisposed to diabetes and high blood pressure because that was the dynamics of my family. It wasn't until recently I realized that I can change my story, that I have the power, I have the ability to choose who I want to be, to choose how I want to live, to choose what my body looks like, to choose what diseases I suffer with or don't. And I don't choose any of them. I don't even claim depression and anxiety anymore. Yes, I have been diagnosed with depression. At one point, I was taking medication. At one point, I was almost addicted to Xanax because it made me feel better. Or at least I thought it made me feel better. It made me feel better temporarily anyway. It was a quick fix. It was my go-to instead of making the changes that I needed to take care of my body. So I decided to change my story. I want to challenge all of you today to change your story. Write down your old story. Write it down. Everything that you believed about yourself, everything you thought was true about yourself, everything your family says, every bad thing that you say about your body, write it down today. Burn it up, tear it into pieces, release it with love, and then write down your new story. Write down everything that you want to believe about yourself. Write down how you want to feel. Write down what you want to look like. Write down who you want to be and read it every day. And I promise that you will continue to get closer and closer to your goals. Love you guys, mean it, and I will see you next week. Thanks so much.